Hey cousins, welcome to Brown Liquor and Bad Ideas.
Hello, cousins. Welcome to this episode of Brown Liquor and Bad Ideas. I'm your host, Cornell Wright, the People's Lobbyist. And today, cousins, we're going to talk about austerity programs. That's a good one. Welcome. So, cousins, austerity and austerity programs, you know what that means. That means we're going to put on a budget, right? Every time I want to go buy something, my wife, she comes in with this austerity program stuff in my home. Right? I'm sure some of you understand how that is. But let's look at, from a federal budget level, talking about the austerity programs and what you're starting to hear a lot more being played out, talking about austerity. Austerity is basically saying, oh, well, we don't want to pay for that because it's going to raise the national debt. Cousins, yes. All right? And so that goes on to say, to beg the question is, when is it appropriate to raise the national debt and for what purposes, right? If we go back to 2008, remember how bad things were, some of you cousins, how bad it was? We were about the edge of a financial cliff for the whole planet, okay? Yes, we went into more debt at that point in time, and it was a good thing. It bailed out a number of companies like GM and others who needed it. It helped with cousins get reestablished. It helped to stabilize not only our economy, but the economy around the world. And the stock market started to move from the 6,000s back into the higher levels, which you're starting to enjoy and appreciate now for those of you cousins who are in the stock market. But cousins, look at this. What happened is that along comes, and so when President Trump was elected, he was saying that we had to fix the debt, had to fix the federal debt, and he was going to reduce taxes, and he was going to have an increase in the gross domestic product. Well, he did reduce taxes. That did have impact on the debt, i.e. it started going up. It was going up every year while he was president. And then as we all know, in 2020, because of all the COVID activity, the government came out with significant programs, 2.2 trillion with a T dollars, and which then made the deficit the highest it's ever been. Anybody, we could go back and question, look at the line items, associated things that were on those line items that we paid for in 2002. By the way, when I say we paid for, why? Because it's our money, cousins, and it's our debt. Everybody got that? Because we're going to eventually have to end up paying for this one way or the other, or our children moving forward one way or the other. And so now we're in a situation, once again, in 2021. There are a lot of cousins who are still hurting. The recovery has been very sketchy in regards to where you are, what industry you're in, where you're located geographically in the country. Some cousins are doing very well, and it's almost as though there's been no exposure at all to the pandemic having impact on their style of living and/or the fact their net worth. Other cousins have gotten hit really hard and need to get some assistance and some help. And we know from 2020 that when those stimulus checks came out, okay, that money went almost immediately back into the economy and helped to shore up a lot of businesses. And in fact, it's being considered again. And then now people are starting to talk about, well, austerity. No, cousins, I would consider it's a bad time to be talking about austerity when in fact the country economically and from the economy is still so sketchy. Some cousins are doing really well in their businesses. Others are every day almost facing going out of business. And we know that because you can start to look at things that are doing well, okay? Look at those that are not doing well. All the cousins who are engaged with our socialization, our engagement, are pretty much on hard times. Cousins that are on the delivery capabilities are doing okay. Cousins who are working in a lot of in the healthcare fields, who have been the frontline supporters and the heroes for us, taking care of all of us when we need it through the COVID, they've been exposed, but then now they're starting to be what? Become hurting. Not necessarily because of jobs, just because of the emotional concern. So as you go back and look at this, cousins, you talk to some economists, thank you. I heard a number of them talking about how in the 2008 time, The issue was that we didn't put enough money back in the economy to stimulate it. Why? Because the same folks in Congress then were talking about austerity and holding and suppressing things down, as opposed to opening it up in order for the government to put more money into the economy in order to do what? Give more jobs, initiate more programs, start new infrastructure projects, those sorts of things. As well as just, come on, let's just be honest, giving some cousins directly money in their hands because they need it because of all the various associated activities of living life. Schools for kids, education, the various computers, laptops they need. Think about all those things that are now at home that used to be, thankfully to teachers in many instances, paid for by teachers. By the way, do they need an increase in salary? Yeah, that's a different topic for another day though, okay? So think about it, cousins. This is not the time to be pulling back on the economic reins of the country. My contention, if I'm hearing a number of economists, was to open it up and spread it. Now, let's not talk about spending money willy-nilly, right? But there are a number of good, solid programs out there that are being considered that would, in fact, put money in cousins' hands, put companies back to work doing things, fix things that need to be done in our country, infrastructure. I've talked about bridges in past episodes. You know, you drive across a number of bridges in the country, don't you really kind of wonder where you are or why it's like that? Of course we do, all right? Those are good ideas, cousins, that should be getting thoughtful consideration, not dismissed under a blanket of, oh, it's time for austerity. It's not time for austerity. It's time to come up with conscientious programs and ideas that will what? Help cousins get back on their feet for those who need to, help cousins who are in small businesses who need to be helped, and then offer the infrastructure for all those that we need to continue moving forward. That's my opinion, cousins. Now you may think that's a bad idea. What's a better idea? Not putting any money out and letting the country continue to kind of waffle the way it is, which seems to be the other choice. Help me, cousins. Let's understand what's the right choice here in order to help as many cousins as possible so we can get things back to what? The way we would like for them to be. We're starting to get the vaccines out. Vaccines cost money. Who's paying for that, cousins? Right now it's being paid for by the federal government. That's all part of the programs that are being asked to be put out. You're going to say you don't want that? Of course not. We want that to be taken care of. Cousins, austerity programs, there's a time for them. You can't have been involved or in office in which the federal deficit was running up under normal and good times, which you would think that ordinarily would be taken care of. And by the way, according to the way it was presented for the tax plan was going to go down so that the economy would grow and the additional monies would be coming up would cover the debt so there wouldn't be any debt increase. So what happened to that plan, cousins? Thought we forgot about that one, didn't you? So if now the COVID time in 2021, we need to have the programs to help as many cousins as possible to do as much as we can to get the entire economy and all the cousins with an opportunity to move forward. Cousins, that's my recommendation. That's my bad idea for the day. What do you think? All right? So talk to your legislators, cousin. Give them a call. Send them an email. When you hear about it, let them know, hey, spend some money. Because you know what they say, sometimes you have to spend money to make money. I think we might be in one of those times. Keep wearing your mask. From what I understand, you might need 2 now, cousins. All right? When the vaccine comes your way, get in line and take the vaccine. From what I understand, the second one, maybe a little bit of an ouch, but it's worthwhile. It's a good thing for us all to do. Thank you, cousins, for joining us. Next week, we're going to talk about the stock market. How about that a little bit? And I want you to subscribe. Give me some comments because I care about you. I want you to care about me. And together, it's going to be us, the United States. Have a great day.
We are the free.